For decades, Florida's coral reefs have attracted thousands of people from all over the world. Delicate ecosystems, coral reefs are home to billions of organisms that depend on them for survival, and that includes humans. Coral reefs protect homes and businesses along the coastline from storm surge during hurricanes. And of course, thousands put on diving equipment every day to experience a new world under the sea. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, these activities bring in billions of dollars each year in Florida alone. But scientists say these underwater sanctuaries are in danger. Right here in South Florida, healthy coral reefs are disappearing right off the coast. Now, a team of researchers at UM's Rosenstiel School may have discovered a solution, and you don't need to be a scientist to be a part of it. On a cloudy morning in South Florida,
that's cold.
The water is cold, but these divers have a job to do.
I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite dives of the year.
Carly Dennison is a part of the scuba club at the University of Miami. She and her friends in the scuba club go out on dives all the time, but today is special. It's a rescue mission.
Ideally, this is gonna essentially help replenish the colonies that are struggling to survive right now.
She's talking about coral colonies, staghorn coral that's been disappearing from South Florida's ocean floor. Dalton Hesley, a researcher at UM's Coral Restoration Lab, explains why.
Here in South Florida, we're seeing things such as climate change resulting in ocean acidification. So our oceans are actually becoming more acidic, where these coral skeletons, the calcium carbonate I referred to, is dissolving, and it's also slowing corals' growth.
He says that, combined with rising ocean temperatures, pollution, and overfishing, are making it harder for the corals to survive.
It's just tipping the scales in the wrong direction.
So today, the Scuba Club is working with Dalton and his team to give the corals a second chance at life. It's called Rescue a Reef, and anyone with a diver certification can do it.
I've never done this before, so I really look forward to doing this.
Here's how it works. Broken corals are housed underwater on PVC pipe nurseries. There they grow and break off to create even more corals. Then Dalton and his crew instruct the divers on how to attach these corals back onto the seafloor using nails and zip ties. Within months, the corals have grown over the nails and are well on their way to creating a new reef.
So it's basically like planting trees.
Kind of, yeah. They call it coral gardening because it's a lot like growing to then plant in other areas, but with corals.
The divers also collect coral fragments from the seafloor to house on the nurseries. They store them here in the Coral Restoration Lab at the Rosenstiel School for a couple of days before they're put back into the ocean.
Here in Miami, we've outplanted over 8,000 corals now in the last 5 years, 1,500 of which was through Rescue Reef and our citizen scientists, which is incredible.
The results? Tremendous. Over 90% of the outplanted corals have survived and are flourishing.
For the first time in like 3 years, the last 3 years, I've seen new outgrowths, new algal corn on like reefs I've been on before, that reefs weren't there before, you know?
This particular Rescue a Reef expedition went well, even though there were a few mishaps.
It was a little bit difficult because I got stung by something.
Over 100 new corals were planted and plenty more collected to be planted another day. But Dalton says this is only a short-term solution. There's still a sea of progress that needs to be made before the problem at large can be solved.
We won't be able to replant every coral reef worldwide, so that's why Rescue Reef is mostly an educational program. As a worldwide population, that's where we have to make decisions about how best we can have a positive impact at a larger scale than simply restoring corals every day.
According to researchers like Dalton, without the reefs, marine and human life will be greatly affected.
Worldwide, it's a way of life. A lot of communities actually rely on corals for their everyday survival, whether it's their job, they're a fisherman, they're a diver, they're providing food for their community, shoreline protection.
He says saving the reefs for good requires swift action, keeping pollution and overfishing at a minimum, and having a smaller carbon footprint to leave behind a cleaner coral footprint, keeping the seas at the right temperature for the corals to survive. But for now, Dalton and the Rescue a Reef team are playing a big part in teaching everyday people how they too can help the local reefs get back on track, one coral at a time. In Key Biscayne, I'm Erica Orstad, UMTV.